Her boss said it like he owned her. One hand on her lower back, the other gripping a whiskey, and a voice loud enough to carry halfway across the ballroom. "She's with me tonight." I stood 10 feet away, drink in hand, stomach turning. "My name's Ryan. I'm 36, from outside Kansas City. My wife, Amber, is a nurse administrator at a big private hospital." That night was their annual fundraising banquet. A black tie event packed with board members, donors, and hospital execs. She'd been talking about it nonstop for weeks. "Biggest night of the year," she kept saying. "It'll be huge for my career." So I rented a tux, got a fresh haircut, even shaved for once. She came down the stairs in a deep green dress that hugged her just right. Hair curled, makeup perfect. I actually stood there like an idiot, just staring at her for a second. I felt proud walking in with her. Real proud. She smiled, waved, shook hands like she belonged with the board. I stuck close, smiled when I needed to, sipped my drink, didn't say much. I was fine being background noise for her big night. But then we stepped into that side circle of guests near the silent auction tables. That's when I saw him. Rick Donovan, Chief of Patient Services. Slick suit, one of those fake politician smiles. I'd met him once, he barely looked at me. That night, though, he looked at her like he'd already undressed her twice. He leaned in close behind her while laughing with some donors. His hand rested high on her back. Then slowly he slid it down. Not subtle, not casual, just slow and possessive. Amber didn't move, didn't flinch, didn't even fake a laugh or step forward. She froze like a deer in headlights. "She's with me tonight," Rick said again, louder this time to a guy next to him. I looked at her. Nothing. No pushback. No glare. No "excuse me." Just silence. Her eyes dropped to the floor. My legs moved before I even realized it. Drink still in my hand, fingers tightening around the glass. Heart pounding, head buzzing. I didn't know exactly what I was walking into, but I knew something was broken, something I couldn't ignore anymore. I walked straight toward them. I stepped in, close enough to smell his cologne. The kind that tried too hard, spicy, sharp, expensive. He turned to face me, still grinning like he didn't have a care in the world. "Is that how directors behave around their staff?" I asked, loud enough for the circle to hear. "Hand on the waist? Claiming someone's wife in public." He blinked, clearly not expecting that. "Excuse me?" I nodded at Amber, who hadn't moved. "You're her boss. Is this appropriate behavior for a director?" A few heads turned. Conversations around us slowed, then stopped. I started drifting our way. Rick gave a small laugh, casual, fake. "Buddy, relax. We're just having fun. Big night for everyone." "She's not here for fun," I snapped. "She's here for her job. You're touching her like she's yours." The group around us went silent. You could hear the clink of silverware from across the ballroom. Amber opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Just a little inhale. Frozen. Rick raised both hands a few inches, still smiling. "Look, man, I didn't mean anything. No harm. All right?" I pulled off my tie, slid it from my collar and wrapped it around my hand. "What are you doing?" he asked, the grin finally cracking. I stepped forward and looped the tie around his neck. Not tight, just enough to catch him off guard. His drink spilled down his shirt. He stumbled back, one hand going to the knot. "Apologize," I said, calm, steady. "To my wife. To everyone here." "You're insane," he choked out, tugging at the tie. "Say it," I repeated. His face flushed. Eyes darted around the room. No one moved. No one spoke. A few phones were out, recording probably. "All right," he gasped. "All right. I'm sorry." I loosened the tie. He dropped to one knee, coughing, red-faced. Some woman nearby let out a soft gasp. No one helped him up. Security arrived fast, 2 guys in suits, earpieces in. They didn't grab me, just stood between us. "Sir, we're going to have to escort you out," one said, low voice, like he didn't want to make a scene. "Yeah," I said, tossing the tie onto Rick's chest. "I'm done here anyway." I looked at Amber. She hadn't moved an inch. Her hands were clenched in front of her, face pale. She looked around like she didn't know where to be, who to stand with. And for the first time, she wasn't standing with him. Rick still hadn't stood up. Someone helped him to his feet eventually, but nobody rushed. He just sat there, shirt soaked, silence pressing down on him. Security walked me through the room. We passed servers frozen mid-step, donors with open mouths, hospital board members whispering fast to each other. I glanced back once. Amber was still watching me, eyes wide, no tears, just stunned. The power he'd had over her cracked right there, and everyone saw it. The ballroom doors opened. I walked into the hallway, breathing deep, and I didn't look back again. The hallway outside the ballroom was empty except for 2 cops leaning against the wall. They didn't cuff me, just asked me to come with them. Standard procedure, one said. I kept walking. My pulse had slowed. My hands were steady. They drove me to the local police station. It was past midnight, fluorescent lights buzzing, coffee smell burnt and bitter. I sat on a hard plastic chair in the holding room. My tux jacket was gone, shirt collar open, skin still warm from the fight. A door clicked open. Amber walked in. No makeup now, hair pulled back tight. Her heels echoed against the tile. Her face was blank, eyes hard. Not a single trace of the woman who'd walked down our stairs a few hours ago. She sat down across from me, folding her hands like she was the one running the meeting. They're willing to drop any charges if you agree to an anger management program, she said. It's the best option. I stared at her. What charges? Disturbing the peace, simple assault, she said, flat voice. They can make it go away. I leaned forward. Are you pressing harassment charges? Against him. Her eyes flickered. It's complicated. I laughed once, sharp. Complicated. He touched you, claimed you, in front of everyone. And you're telling me it's complicated. She didn't answer. She just looked down at the table. How long? I asked. Her head snapped up. What? How long have you been sleeping with him? She opened her mouth, closed it. Her fingers twisted together, knuckles white. For months, she said finally, barely audible. I sat back. The room blurred for a second, then snapped back. For months, I repeated. She looked at me like I was the problem. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. The hospital's politics. I cut her off. Stop. Don't feed me that. You had a choice. You made it. It wasn't like that, she said quickly. He kept pushing. It's complicated. Complicated. I leaned in again. You stood there tonight while he put his hands on you. You didn't move. Didn't speak. You let me look like a fool. She flinched. I didn't want it to be public. I was trying to keep things professional. You exploded. You call that professional? I shot back. You call screwing your boss professional? Her lips pressed together. It was a mistake, she said finally. I've been under so much stress. He's been promising me a promotion, and a mistake. I laughed again, but there was no humor in it. For months isn't a mistake. That's a pattern. She blinked at me, like I'd hit her. Ryan, don't do this. We can fix it. Just. No, I said, standing. I'm done. I want a divorce. She pushed her chair back. It's not what you think. It's not serious with him. You humiliated me tonight, in front of everyone. And you're still protecting him, I said. Her voice rose, desperate now. I'm not protecting him. I'm trying to protect us. There's no us, I said. You made sure of that. Her face crumpled for a second, then hardened again. You're throwing everything away over one mistake. You threw it away, I said. I'm just finally calling it what it is. She didn't answer. She just sat there, staring at the table, breathing hard. I pushed my chair back, the legs screeching on the tile. Then I walked to the door and knocked for the officer to let me out. The officer opened the door, but before I could step out, Amber followed. Ryan, wait. Her voice cracked, but she caught up fast, heels echoing down the empty hallway. I kept walking toward the front desk. Please, she said, grabbing my arm. Don't leave like this. We need to talk. I turned slow. We already did. That wasn't a conversation. You dropped a bomb and walked away. You dropped the bomb, I said. I'm just walking through the wreckage. She flinched but didn't back off. I made a mistake. Okay? A real one. I'll own it. But we can fix this. We've been through worse. I shook my head. We've never been through this. I'll go to therapy, she said, eyes wide now. Couples therapy, individual, whatever it takes. I'll quit the job. I'll cut him off. He means nothing. I stepped back. He meant enough for you to sleep with him for 4 months and let him grope you in public. She reached out again. Don't throw away 10 years. I moved her hand off me. You already did. I didn't mean to, she said, her voice rising. I was scared. I was trying to survive that place. It's toxic. You don't understand. Don't give me that. My voice came sharp. You could have told me. You could have quit. You could have said no. But you didn't. You stood there and let him humiliate me like I was some background joke. Her face twisted. I froze. Panicked. You don't get how hard this has been. I laughed under my breath. You panicked? No. You made a choice. And now you don't like the consequences. She looked at me like she wanted to scream. Then she slapped me. Hard. Right across the cheek. I didn't move. Didn't blink. Just looked her in the eye. You think that changes anything? I asked. She backed up, hand over her mouth, like she couldn't believe what she'd just done. I didn't mean. But you did, I said. And it's just more proof of what this has turned into. Tears welled up in her eyes, but I didn't care anymore. That switch in my head, whatever had been holding me back, flipped for good. You're ruining everything, she whispered. No, I said calmly. You ruined it the second you let him touch you. She didn't follow me this time. I walked past the front desk, nodded at the night officer, and stepped outside. The air hit different, cold but sharp, real. I didn't drive home. I didn't even look at my phone. I just started walking, hands in my pockets, letting the streetlights guide me past shuttered gas stations and quiet sidewalks. For the first time in months, maybe longer, my mind wasn't spinning. No more wondering. No more checking texts or reading between the lines. She showed me who she was, and I finally believed it. I didn't sleep. I crashed in my truck a few blocks from the house, parked under a dead streetlight, hoodie pulled up. Just me, the engine off, and silence I hadn't felt in months. By 6 the next morning, I was outside the hospital. I parked across the street, angled just enough to see the main staff exit. Her car was already there. I sat low in my seat, coffee burning in my hand, eyes fixed on that side door. Nothing for about an hour. Then movement. She walked out in scrubs and a light jacket, laughing. Not just a polite smile, laughing. Right beside her, Rick Donovan. Same smug face, same hand placement. Flat on her back like it belonged there. They stood just outside the doors for a second, talking close. He leaned in and said something that made her look down and smile like a damn teenager. Then he moved his hand lower. And she didn't stop him. My throat went dry. I reached into the glove box and grabbed my old Nikon. Yeah, I used to be into photography back when life was normal. Snapped 3 shots before they turned toward the parking lot. He opened the passenger door of his black BMW for her. She hesitated, looked around, guilty, then got in. I followed them. No music, no calls, just that pit in my gut tightening with every green light. They pulled into the valet at a hotel downtown. Not one of those chain spots with business meetings and free muffins. This place was sleek, dim windows, lounge chairs out front. The kind of place where nobody asks questions. I parked down the block and walked in through the side entrance, keeping distance. They sat in the lounge bar just past the lobby. He ordered drinks. She leaned in when she talked. His hand never left her leg. I stayed behind a pillar, just far enough to not draw eyes. Took photos, good ones, clear. Her hand on his knee, his fingers brushing her wrist. Her laughing again like none of last night happened. Then my phone buzzed. Amber, can we please talk? I looked at her, sitting there like nothing had exploded. I snapped one more photo of him whispering in her ear and typed back, "Me, you're doing plenty of talking right now." Her phone lit up on the table. She glanced down, read it, and froze. Then her head turned fast, scanning the room. She saw me, eyes locked, her face drained of color. Panic, instant and sharp, like someone cut a wire inside her. She whispered something to Rick. He followed her eyes, but I'd already stepped back, slipping behind a hallway near the bathrooms. When I peeked again, they were up, not together. She left first, clutching her bag, almost running. He followed a minute later, looking over his shoulder like someone was chasing him. I stayed in the corner, still, camera in hand. And for once, I didn't feel crazy. I drove straight to the house. No hesitation, no warning. I still had keys, and I wasn't about to ask permission to grab my own damn stuff. The place felt different. Empty, even though everything was still there. Her coat on the hook. Her mug in the sink. That blanket she always threw over the couch like it meant something. All of it suddenly looked like props in a staged life. I went upstairs and grabbed a duffel from the closet. Started throwing in clothes, chargers, whatever I'd need for a while. I was halfway through the dresser when I spotted her laptop sitting on the nightstand. Open. Logged in. I sat down and stared at it. Then moved the mouse. Email still pulled up. Gmail. I clicked out and hit sign in. She always used the same password, her childhood dog's name and our wedding year. Pathetic. It worked on the first try. Inbox loaded. I typed Rick into the search bar. My chest tightened the second the results popped up. Dozens of threads. Some with just subject lines like "last night was worth it" or "still thinking about that shower." Others full of back and forth messages so personal, so smug. I had to stop and just breathe. There were hotel confirmations, dinner reservations, excuses that lined up perfectly with those late-night staff meetings she always used to mention. Emails where she told him she was working on softening Ryan to make her moves easier. He replied with shit like, "The poor guy doesn't see it yet." Placeholder energy. Placeholder. I kept scrolling. Found one chain dated 3 weeks ago, just days before the banquet. He said, "Once the board seat is locked in, I'll handle the husband. We'll move clean and quiet." She replied, "Let's just not rush. I need to keep things calm at home till then." I printed everything. Not just the emails, the hotel bookings, the dinner receipts, even a photo from that morning outside the hospital, the one where his hand was on her leg, and she was laughing like her marriage never existed. I stacked the papers on the kitchen table. My hands didn't shake. My pulse didn't race. I felt clear, like I finally saw the full picture. That's when the front door opened. Amber stepped in, saw the suitcase by the stairs, then spotted me in the kitchen. Her eyes locked on the printer, still whirring out the last page. "Ryan," she said, stepping forward. "Can we please?" I held up the top sheet. "Read it." She stopped cold. Her face dropped as she scanned the first few lines. Then the next page. Then the one after that. "No. This is... You went through my... You were gonna handle me?" "Placeholder," I said. "Go ahead. Spin it." Her hands shook as she reached for the pile. "It wasn't like that." "It's exactly like that," I snapped. "I got the timestamps, the photos, the receipts. You were planning a future with him while you were still lying in my bed." Her voice cracked. "Please just talk to me. Let me explain." "You already did," I said, nodding at the pages. "That's the real you. That's the truth." She moved closer. "Ryan, please. We can fix this. That stuff, it was just talk. He's manipulative. He got in my head." I grabbed the duffel, slung it over my shoulder, and walked to the door without a word. "Don't do this," she begged. I opened the door, stepped outside, let it shut behind me, didn't even look back. I drove straight from the house to a law office a buddy had used for his divorce last year. Guy said they didn't sugarcoat anything and didn't waste time. That's exactly what I needed. The place was clean and quiet. No fake plants, no leather couches. Just a sharp-looking woman in her 40s who barely shook my hand before getting to work. "Name's Dana Merritt," she said, flipping open a legal pad. Tell me everything. I laid it all out. The affair, the photos, the emails, her letting the guy touch her in public. Every last bit of it. She didn't blink once. When I was done, she leaned back and said, "Okay, bad news first. Infidelity doesn't mean much in Missouri when it comes to splitting assets. Judges don't care why a marriage ended. They just divide the pie." "And the good news?" I asked. She smiled. Not friendly, more like a loaded gun. "You've got leverage. A ton of it." She tapped her pen on the pad. "You said he's her direct superior?" "Yeah." "And they work at a non-profit hospital?" "Yup. She's a nurse administrator. He's some director. That's a problem. For them." I sat forward. "Why?" She opened her laptop, pulled up a document from the hospital's website. Every nonprofit medical facility has a code of conduct. Relationships between employees with a power imbalance are a massive liability. It's not just frowned on. It's a reportable ethics violation. "You're saying I can get them fired?" "I'm saying you can drop a hammer on both of them if you move smart." She laid out a plan. File for divorce immediately. List the infidelity not for revenge, but for the record. Then, separately, file an anonymous report with the hospital's HR and legal departments. Include everything. Timeline, evidence, emails, photos. Let the board deal with the fallout. "Play it clean," she said. "No threats, no screaming. Just cold, professional documentation. Let them ruin themselves." I nodded. "Let's file." She got to work. I paid the retainer, signed the papers, and walked out with a folder under my arm that felt heavier than it should have. That night, I rented a room at a cheap extended stay motel near the interstate. Cracked open my laptop, pulled up the evidence, started building the report like she told me, no emotion, no commentary. Just facts. Subject lines, dates, meeting locations, screenshots, confirmations, his hand on her leg, her laughing at dinner, the placeholder comment, the plan to handle me once the promotion came through. I dropped it all into a folder labeled HR Submission Confidential. Saved a backup. Printed a copy. I didn't sleep that night either. But I didn't need to. I submitted the ethics report at 8 a.m. sharp. Sent it from a burner email I created that morning. Used a VPN, stripped metadata, clean and anonymous. Every file was labeled. Every piece backed by timestamped screenshots and receipts. But I didn't stay anonymous for long. By 11, I forwarded the same package directly to the hospital's legal department with my name attached. No bluff, no emotion, just the truth organized like a case file. The next day, I parked across the street from the hospital and sat in a corner booth at a little cafe that faced the HR wing. Cheap coffee, sticky table, but the view was perfect. Around noon, I saw him, Rick, walking in with his jacket slung over one shoulder, acting like the world still owed him something. 10 minutes later, Amber followed, clutching a folder to her chest, eyes darting in every direction. I didn't look away once. They disappeared inside, and I sat there for nearly an hour, sipping burnt coffee and watching nurses come and go. Then the door opened again. Rick came out first. No jacket this time. No swagger. Face pale, eyes blank. He walked fast like he was being chased. Amber came out 20 minutes later, and she was crying, full-on wiping her face with her sleeve. No pretending it was allergies or wind. She leaned against the brick wall near the employee entrance, staring at nothing. I didn't feel bad. Not one bit. That evening, I got a call from the hospital's legal office. A woman named Denise asked if I could confirm a few details for their investigation. I kept it factual, just like Dana told me. No swearing, no emotion. Just times, places, names. They didn't need drama. They needed credibility. I gave them both. By Friday, it was official. The hospital released a statement. 2 employees terminated due to ethics violations and conduct breaches. No names, but everyone inside knew exactly who it was. Amber texted me that night. I didn't answer. She called twice. I blocked her. The next morning, I was crashing at my brother's place, eating cold eggs in his garage, when there was a knock at the side door. It was her. She looked wrecked. Puffy eyes, hair pulled back in a lazy bun, clothes wrinkled like she hadn't changed in 2 days. "Can we talk?" she asked. "No. Please," she said, stepping forward. "They fired me, Ryan. It's all gone. Everything's just gone. I didn't move. You chose him. You gambled your job and our marriage for a man who used you. This is what you earned." She shook her head. "I wasn't thinking clearly. He manipulated me." "Stop," I said. "He didn't force you to cheat. He didn't make you lie. That was all you." Tears welled again. "I have nothing now." "You still have yourself," I said. "Maybe next time, don't throw that away too." She opened her mouth, like she was going to beg again, but I shut the door, locked it, and didn't look back. 3 weeks later, I got a letter from her lawyer. She was filing for spousal support. Said her career was irreparably damaged by my public outburst and retaliatory behavior. Claimed I'd sabotaged her reputation, caused her firing, and now she couldn't maintain her standard of living. I read it twice, then I laughed. Dana didn't laugh, though. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "We're going to shut this down clean. Bring everything. Let the evidence speak." The hearing was set for the following Tuesday. Family court. Just a small room with a board judge, 2 attorneys, and 2 people who used to share a bed and now couldn't even share air. Amber walked in dressed like she hadn't missed a step. Sharp suit, hair styled. That fake calm smile she always used when she needed something. Her lawyer did all the talking. Claimed I'd embarrassed her in front of senior hospital staff, damaged her professional image, and created a hostile environment that cost her the promotion she was supposedly promised. I didn't flinch. When it was our turn, Dana stood and calmly laid it all out. Timeline of the affair. Screenshots of the emails. The policy pages from the hospital's employee handbook. The clause about relationships with direct supervisors being grounds for immediate termination. She passed copies to the judge. "There was no retaliation," she said. "Just accountability." I added one thing. Just one. I didn't cost her that job. She did. She broke the rules, lied about it for months, and tried to hide behind my last name. I was just the cleanup crew. The judge looked over the papers for a long time. Then he looked at Amber. "Ma'am, this isn't about hurt feelings. You violated written policy and jeopardized patient trust at a nonprofit facility. That's not retaliation. That's misconduct." And just like that, her request was denied. We stepped out into the hallway. It was quiet, nobody else around. Just the echo of her heels behind me. "You didn't have to do this," she said. "We could have figured something out. You made it worse." I turned around. "I made it worse? You wanted to destroy me," she said, voice low and sharp. "But this isn't over." I stepped closer, looked her straight in the eye. "It was over the moment you chose him." She opened her mouth, but I didn't wait for the rest. I walked away. I didn't look back once. By the time summer rolled in, I had a clean 1-bedroom apartment across town. No shared closets. No ghost in the bed next to me. Just me, a solid mattress, and a stocked fridge. Quiet mornings, clean countertops, full control. Felt damn good. I started seeing someone casually. Nothing serious, just dinner and conversation that didn't involve lawyers or guilt. She laughed at my jokes and didn't check her phone every 5 minutes. That alone felt like a win. One morning, I got a text from a buddy who still worked at the hospital. "Saw Amber at the Walgreens on 47th. She's working the drop-off counter in a tech vest." I stared at the message for a second, then put my phone down. No smile, no smirk, just a weird kind of stillness. A week later, I heard about Rick through the grapevine. He was working at some private clinic out in Springfield. Not director, not even manager, just a face with a clipboard in a building nobody cared about. His reputation was shot. Then the next envelope came. Second request for spousal support. New angle, new lawyer, same desperation. Claimed extended financial hardship due to retaliation and mental distress. Dana filed the reply before I even finished reading it. We sent the same package, A fair timeline, hospital policy, the court's previous ruling. 3 weeks later, the judge threw it out again. No hearing. Just one line, motion denied. And that was it. Case closed. I stood by my apartment window that night, beer in hand, watching cars roll past. And for the first time in over a year, I realized something. I didn't miss her. Not the woman I found out she really was. I didn't miss the guessing, the lies, the way I had to read between every line like love was some damn puzzle. I lost a marriage, but I gained clarity, dignity, peace. You can't make someone respect you, but you can sure as hell take it back when they throw it away. And I did.